After the end of World War II, the world entered a confrontation between the two poles of the Soviet Union and the United States. Both sides actively prepared for World War III. Here are 5 types of weapons the Soviet Union prepared for this total war. Regarding infantry weapons, the AK-47 submachine gun is a simple infantry weapon, but powerful, reliable, easy to use and can be mass-produced in wartime conditions. The AK-47 is the most recognizable gun in the post-World War II era. About 75 million AK-47s have been manufactured worldwide. The AK-47 was inspired by a number of guns such as the American M1 Garand, especially the German Sturmgewehr STG-44. This was the world's first true assault rifle, 10 years before the American M16. By the early 1950s, the Soviet Army had completed equipping its entire force with AK-47s, ready for World War III. In addition to equipping the Red Army and the Warsaw Pact countries, AK-47s were also provided to other countries, especially national liberation movements around the world. Currently, AK-47s are still the most commonly used weapon in the world. In the naval field, unable to compete with the United States in aircraft carriers, the Soviet Union developed submarines as asymmetric means like the Nazi German Navy in World War II. The Typhoon-class ballistic missile submarine is the Soviet Union's nuclear deterrent at sea. The Typhoon submarine is 175 meters long, with a submerged displacement of 24,000 tons. This giant submarine was 3 times larger than the U.S. Los Angeles-class attack submarine and weighed nearly 10,000 tons more than its counterpart, the U.S. Ohio-class ballistic missile submarine. The Soviet Typhoon was considered an innovative design, equipped with 20 SS-20 Sturgeon ballistic missile launchers. Each SS-20 missile was equipped with 10 nuclear warheads. 6 Typhoon-class submarines were built and served in the Soviet Navy. Witnessing the power of the tank force, after the end of World War II, the Soviet Union urgently developed a new main battle tank to replace the legendary T-34, the T-54 tank. The T-54 had a completely new shape, turret, power system and weapons compared to the T-34. In preparation for a war using nuclear weapons, the T-54 was immediately upgraded to the T-55 version, which was the secondary weapon on the turret roof was removed, replaced by a sealed turret and an NBC anti-aircraft system. The T-54/55 series was the mainstay of the Soviet Army from the end of World War II until the introduction of its descendants until the T-64 version was born, in addition to the T-64 model, later the T-80. The main battle tanks of the Soviet Union were all direct descendants of the T-54/T-55 such as the T-62, T-72, and T-90. In order to carry out a strategic deterrent, the Soviet Union focused on developing the Tu-160 Blackjack strategic bomber, nicknamed the White Swan, and the Tu-160 was the last strategic bomber built by the Soviet Union. With variable sweep wings, a design characteristic of the 1960s, the Tu-160 has supersonic speed and can fly at extremely low altitudes to avoid enemy radar detection. The first Tu-160 flew on December 18, 1981 and is a counterpart to the US B-1 strategic bomber. The Tu-160 can carry 22 tons of weapons in 2 internal weapons bays and external hardpoints, including the KH-55/AS-15 Kent nuclear cruise missile. Similar to the U.S. air-launched cruise missile, the AS-15 is a subsonic cruise missile, carrying a 200-kiloton nuclear warhead. A Tu-160 can carry 12 AS-15 missiles. The Soviet Union relied heavily on artillery during World War II. Towed guns and mortars were cheap, easy to produce and had great power on the battlefield. According to statistics, artillery was the most lethal on the battlefield. In the defense of Stalingrad alone, 13,000 artillery pieces were deployed by the Soviet Union. The 122mm D-30 howitzer was the most popular towed artillery piece in the Soviet Army after World War II. The D-30 had a range of 15.4 kilometers, far exceeding the range of its American 105mm M101A1 counterpart, 11.27 kilometers. The rate of fire of the D-30 was 5 to 6 rounds/minute. Each Soviet infantry division was equipped with up to 32 D-30 guns, ensuring firepower for the infantry division to fight even when there was no air power. Like all Soviet weapons, the D-30 could be used as an anti-tank weapon, with the barrel lowered to fire directly at enemy tanks with a 360 degrees firing range. A total of 19,266 D-30s were built in the Soviet Union, most in the 1960s and 70s.